Hello, morning. So this morning I thought I would just carry on from yesterday's video, which was about self-esteem and self-worth. So today I thought I would talk about self-care, what it is and why it's important, and ways that we can do to self-care. So self-care, as it sounds, it's taking care of ourselves. So it's not about other people taking care of us. It's about, how I look after myself. I'll use myself as an example through this at times. So as we were human, we're also a being, but if I just concentrate on the human part of us has a body, it has organs, we have skin, we have a brain, and it's quite a complex system. And most of the time, our body is looking after itself. It's regenerating its cell every 28 days. It repairs itself. We have an immune system. We have, our immune system helps us fight infections. It helps keep us safe. And we also have a part of us, like the autonomic system, that keeps our heart, it keeps everything regulated, our body temperature, how we breathe, our blood going through the body. So basically that is looking after itself. We don't need to tell that part of ourselves to breathe or to pump blood. But there's things that we actually do need to do to look after ourselves. Like each one of us has to get food into our body, because our body needs fuel. It needs, so within that fuel there's glucose, there's minerals, there's certain vitamins. We need protein, carbohydrates, we need fat, we need sugars. So it's our job to get the right fuel into our body. And in the world there's so much fuel. There's so much fuel that doesn't do anything for us, that actually takes away from us. There's fuel that doesn't even have any nutrients in it, vitamins or minerals. But there is fuel, the right fuel, but finding that can be difficult at times, because sometimes we rely on what the supermarket gives us, and the quality might be, it's full of pesticides, it's full of this, so it lacks things. And depending on how much resources we have, we might not even be able to buy the stuff that we should be getting anyway. But I'll not go down that route. So if I just talk about self-care in that aspect, so using myself, it's up to me to recognise, when my body's telling me something. It's up to me to feed myself, to water myself, so my body can, detox, so I can pee out the toxins. It's up to me to feed myself so I can do things, so I have energy, so I have motivation. Also, because we have a body and we're made up of a skeletal system and a muscular system, I need to make sure I'm building muscle. So that takes for me to do something, some sort of workout or exercise to build my muscle. And women, especially for women, having muscle is very important, because as we get to menopause age, we lose our estrogen, and the estrogen's it's a protective factor for our body. So what starts to happen is our bones become weaker, and it means that women are more prone to osteoporosis and bone degenerative disease, if you would like to call it. But it's for your spine, so women are more prone to that weakening. But there's ways to prevent this. And guess what? Weight training And some women get scared of lifting weights or heavy weights because they think, oh, I'm going to be very muscular and look like a man. We don't have the testosterone for that. Women don't easily build muscle the way man does. So I would encourage all women to do some sort of weight-bearing exercise. But if that isn't for you, that's okay. There's other ways that you can self-care to get exercise. It can be walking, it can be jogging, dancing, it can be swimming. You know, that there's like HIIT training workouts. They're short bursts, like 20 to 30 minutes. If you can get something like that a day, just moving your body is going to be great, because we're not meant to be sedentary. We're not meant to just be still and sit down all day. It's not very productive for us, because we need energy to burn, like to get more energy. And when we lack motivation, that's when we really need to push ourselves, because the only way we get motivation is actually doing something, and that can be quite hard to do, especially if you don't feel motivated. But once you keep doing that, it builds, it builds the fire. But start gentle and do something that you have an interest in and that you like, because if you don't like it, then you're not going to want to do it. So it doesn't matter what it is, it's just finding something, and it makes us happier as well, because it helps increase our dopamine. And even spending time with people that we love, and if we laugh, we're creating the bonding hormone and we're feeling just in love, and it's our love feelings that just really protect us. So that's self-care for the body. For the mind, because we have like neuroplasticity, it means that the old saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, well, that's just not true, especially for the human. We can learn and keep learning until we die, until old age. And the best way to do that is to get out of our comfort zone. It's going to new places, being put in new situations, reading, learning new things. That helps our brain synapses just start firing and creating new pathways. And this does take time. It's not going to happen like overnight, but it's like the more repetitiveness you give it, the more you come to something every day, even if it's only 5 minutes, that's still firing that pathway, which is amazing. We can change and we can grow, we can keep growing and changing always, but it does take us to put the work in. Other parts of self-care, making sure you're getting rest and sleep. Sometimes it isn't easy to sleep, so making sure that you're getting rest as well is going to be so important, because sleep's a protective factor. It helps our brain detox through the night. It takes so many hours for our brain to detox. But just being able to get rest will help, because when we don't sleep, it puts us on edge. It means we can't cope the same, we don't have the same motivation, we could be more prone to being depressed. So that's why it's so important to get sleep. And if you are struggling with anything, reach out to a healthcare practitioner if you can, to just see what's going on within you. And I know women as well, when going through menopause or premenopausal, because of the change in hormones, sleep can be a problem as well. So thinking about what we've just spoken about, self-care, is us taking care of ourselves. So making sure that we're getting the right foods into our body, making sure we're getting enough fluids, being careful what we put into our body, what toxins we're putting into our body, what toxins we're using around the house as well, because we breathe in that, but what toxins we're using, like in our shampoo, our body, what we're washing ourselves with, but also making sure that we're brushing our teeth, cleaning our teeth at least twice a day. That's part of our self-care, because the body can't do that. It's the same as like because we have skin, it's our biggest organ, and we need to, to clean that, or it starts to smell and can start to, especially if you had a cut, it could become infected and things like that. So that's why it's really good to just it's very basic things. And I know that can be hard for people at times depending on where you are. So it might sound basic, but I understand that can be very difficult. But just getting these things under control, that's amazing when you can do this, and that's going to support you that bit better. So other ways to then work on our self-care is being mindful of, yes, what we're putting into our body, what toxins. Are we smoking? Are we drinking lots? Are we doing other drugs? Or, it's being very mindful of that, because that does have an impact on the body. And not only one becomes dependent on it, because that's a form of self-soothing, isn't it? It's escapism, it gives pleasure. But at the cost of what? Because everything impacts our mind, our emotions, and then our physical being. And then if we're not in a very good place, then that makes it hard to even want to live or to recognise the beauty in life or the joy in life. It just makes life very, very difficult. And you become disconnected from yourself, your true self. So when we can start working on basic things, like even the self-care, that's you caring about yourself, that's you valuing yourself and looking after yourself. And that will have an impact on your self-esteem and your self-worth, of course it is, and will, because that's you really valuing yourself and looking after yourself. So other ways to self-care, I was going to say, yeah, be careful what you're allowing into your being, like what you're watching, what you're listening to, who you hang around with, what sort of friends you have, what people are in your life. Because some people can take away from us and some people can add and nurture, and that's what you're wanting more of, the nurturing kind. So those parts of the self-care. And just really, it's being mindful, and it doesn't mean to say that we need to live 100% perfect, because we can never do that, and that might seem a bit boring, wouldn't it? Because sometimes it's nice. We get pleasure from eating, and we get pleasure from lots of other things, and they're important, of course. But it's if we become dependent on that particular thing to give us our pleasure or our power. So in your life, sometimes we can't control things. Of course, we can't control a lot of things, but there's things that we can control. And that is what I'm putting into my body. If I'm taking myself out to nature today or not. If I'm choosing to watch a movie today, what kind of movie? If I'm going to hang around with some friends, what friends? So it's like we can have control in our lives, and we're wanting to choose things that are going to support us and nurture us. That just even one small thing, just even like reading a book that fascinates you, say no as well, like having boundaries. Like if you're always a person who says yes, and that gets a bit used and abused, actually it's okay to say no. It's healthy to say no. It's one of the first words we say as a child, no. That's us realising our boundary. So being able to say no, putting yourself first. At times there's nothing wrong with putting yourself first, because nobody knows you more than you know yourself. And naturally, when we're in a good place and we're balanced, our qualities of kindness and compassion, they come out more. And as a human being, it's natural that we want to be helpful and kind and caring. So if there's a day that you just can't, that's okay. Give yourself permission. to look after yourself, because that's your job, to tune in and say, how am I feeling today? What do I need? You know, it's like, do I have the energy to do this, or could I maybe just do something else instead that's not going to take as much energy? You know, it's just being kind and mindful and knowing and trusting yourself that you are a person that wants to do things and does do things and enjoys things, but sometimes actually I need some time for myself. So giving that to yourself is self-care. There's probably a lot of things I've forgotten because it's quite a big subject, but just doing something that you love as well. So just really look after yourself, making sure that you're eating well, getting enough fluid, sleeping well, asking for support if you need support, being able to identify what support that you're needing, and reaching out and making people aware, because people don't know. Sometimes I used to think my closest people should be a mind reader and know what I need, but actually unless I tell them and ask for it, they won't be able to give me it. And usually if I do ask for something, it's because I need it, and they're more than happy to help. So please reach out, make people aware, don't keep yourself, you know, to yourself and be alone with this, because that's when it can get heavy and that's when it gets lonely and hard. We're built for connection, we're born for connection. So please reach out to someone that you trust, if you can. So I hope you found that small video useful, and please send a message if you have any questions, or if you want for me to talk about something else. Okay, so have a good day and do something for you that's going to make you happy and fill you up. Bye.